Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Word of the Day episode. I'm your host, Jamie Silva, and the word of the day today is ruminate. This verb means to think something over, probably very contemplatively and very seriously. You may also refer to someone's ruminations, which is to say, the process or result of thinking contemplatively about something. Since the result of thinking is thoughts, the result of ruminating is ruminations. The online version of this definition is, quote, to think deeply about something, unquote. And that's pretty on point. Emphasis on the deeply here. People ruminating are probably lost in thought, and they're often heard saying, sorry, what was that again? Ruminate is actually an agricultural term of sorts, relating to bovine digestion. And you can tell I'm trying to be delicate about this, which isn't super easy given the subject. Cows, you see, have 4 stomachs, and one of those is called the rumen. From what I'm told, cows will apparently swallow a bunch of food without chewing it, basically, and then try to go someplace quiet where they can kick back and relax, and at that point, then they'll bring that swallowed food back up from the rumen, with regurgitate being the technical term there, and chew it at that time. This is what you see cows doing as they stand out in their fields just staring into space, or alternatively deep into your soul. They're chewing their respective cuds. And it is an interesting method of eating, because as children we're all told to slow down and chew our food carefully before swallowing. So I can only presume that calves then have to be admonished by their cow parents to speed up and eat faster and swallow their food before chewing. Anyway, the Latin word for this process of chewing food that had already been swallowed was ruminare, meaning to chew over. So, to get back to the word here, if you replace the cow's cud with deep thoughts on weighty subjects, then you have the English word ruminate, or again, the noun form rumination. So in this scenario, you're thinking over, chewing over, if you will, your own thoughts. And that doesn't mean that it's only possible to ruminate about things that you've thought up many times in the past or maybe had stored up to think over later. While the original meaning of ruminate might seem like it has this connotation, in modern usage, you can ruminate over something that's totally novel that occurred to you just at that moment, or something that has been on your mind a lot. Either one is fine. Now, one has to ask, what if a cow was thinking over the important things of life while chewing its cud? If this was the case, then yes, you could refer to a ruminating cow. And also you can refer to it as a ruminant, which is one who ruminates. That is also a word. Okay, so let's hit some examples. Example number 1. Greg did not hear the In-N-Out cashier ask about his order because he was still ruminating over whether a strawberry or chocolate milkshake would better complement his animal fries. Example number 2. Allison's ruminations about the nature or existence of life after death were not very conclusive, but at least they made good fodder for her Seinfeldian existentialism blog, which was called What's the Deal with Mortality? Her latest post, These Pretzels Are Making Me Question Reincarnation, was her most popular to date. And one more for those of you who don't watch Seinfeld. Example number 3. After ruminating for several minutes about the best way to inform her friend that she was not going to come to her destination birthday party in Lima, Peru, Bethany decided to pretend that she had already been invited to a destination high school graduation party in Munich that same weekend. Alrighty, that's it for the examples and for the standard fare of the word of the day, but I would now like to introduce a brand new, very exciting segment called Gratuitous Observations About Things. And in this segment, I reflect or opine on whatever suits my fancy, whether you ask to hear what I think about it or not. And in this, the inaugural edition, let's talk a little bit about the effect of putting a musical track underneath a section of spoken word, which lots of television and radio programs and podcasts do as well, presumably because it holds people's attention and or adds to the general ambiance of the program. And this is an odd practice when you think about it, or at least when I think about it, because people walk around all day having conversations and telling stories without the benefit of upbeat or dramatic or pensive backing music. And this is probably why so many people will drift off when you're talking to them. You just don't have the proper musical accompaniment. What's also fun, of course, is that you can dictate the mood entirely by your choice of song. For example, my very description of this phenomenon can sound lively, even boisterous, if I put a cheery and upbeat sort of song behind it. Alternatively, we can turn the vibe thoughtful, poignant, perhaps even nostalgic with this music, which harkens back to the days when shows didn't need pensive piano and acoustic guitar-based melodies in the background to convey the right feeling. Or we could embrace the dangerous thrill of doing things differently, the drama and gravity and adventure of going without music, except for the introduction and wrap-up, which is so exciting. And I'm actually recording this while scaling a mountain peak in order to elude a small army of Egyptian special forces that is after me right now after this small misunderstanding I had in Cairo last week. A case of mistaken identity, really, and I did not steal any artifacts, at least not on purpose. Like that, and I'm sure that was a real emotional roller coaster for you, the listener. What my family and I liked to do back in the day was pull up a dramatic, dialogue-driven but music-free scene from like a BBC period drama in one YouTube window, and then the soundtrack to a swashbuckling action film in another YouTube window, and then play them at the same time. The effect, I think you'll find, is excellent, and I've linked a couple clips in the show notes for you to try out this for yourself. And you can find those at wotdpodcast.com/show notes. And of course, look under the show notes for today's show. That will do it for today. As a takeaway, as some homework, I want you all to ruminate over how best to phrase your iTunes review of this podcast. And then when you're finished ruminating, you can head right on over there and write it. Thank you very much to all those who have already done so, by the way, as is very nice of you. That is most indispensable for humble podcasts such as my own. This has been the Word of the Day. I'm your host, Jamie Silva, and thank you very much for listening.